Hello and welcome to Paris Set Me Free. Paris photo tutorials. Street photography. Now let's have a look at this. I'll show you a few possibilities. Can you see what it is? Can you imagine? Now you can see what it is. Wandering around the streets, coming across shop window displays in this area prone to having amazing shop windows. Let me just show you where we are. We're right in the middle of Paris. There's the ring road. We're in the first, I think, if I remember correctly. Right down here, there's the islands, in this sort of area here, with all those little boutiques, probably around about Place du Châtelet, something like that. Okay, so that's where we are. This is one of the shop windows, and as you can see, it's very dramatic. The lighting is dramatic, and sometimes at night it's a really great time to take photographs in the streets, because the shop windows are brightly lit, so you don't have to worry too much about camera shake and things like that. Don't really need a tripod. Just put it on a high ISO like 800 or 1600, and who cares about a bit of grain? It makes it more atmospheric. That's my opinion anyway. And people have spent so much time. I mean, it's a profession. Window arranging is a profession, window dressing. So why not make the most of it as photographers? Now, the great thing about this, let me show you the shots that I finally went for. It was one of these, can't remember which. Probably this one. And what have we got here? We've got human interest where there aren't humans, which is great, because in street photography, yes, it's about streets, but it's about things happening in streets. And, well, to be honest, it's a picture of a shop window, but I feel that it's still street photography because I was in the street and I spotted it, and you've got the human interest. And even though they're not real humans, who cares? Because they look like them, they're supposed to be, and they're in two different positions. And there's something very interesting. This guy is behind bars. Now I don't know if it's just the way I've arranged it, or if he was actually made to be behind bars to anybody who looks in. But it's very interesting because, and he's got shades on as well. He's got sunglasses. This guy hasn't. This guy's looking over, kind of. Is he inviting? Is he interested or perplexed about something? This guy's much more mean looking, arms crossed, shades on, and there's these intriguing bars, which is a nice contrast between the two guys. He's got a bright red, in terms of colour, bright red scarf on, and then there's this strange round sort of mosaic thing made up of, looks like bits of brown stone, which well, there it is, you know, whether you like it or not. This guy's got a bit of yellow there, probably his t-shirt showing through as well. So you add those together and you've got a rather intriguing composition. I've also thrown in a tilt and taken it from one side, which much closer to him than to him, so I've thrown the emphasis onto him. I like the way he was leaning into the photograph and yet his head turned towards us, almost as though he's, I don't know, he's looking at us in a very curious way. And the photograph became this. I needed to bump it up a bit because it was slightly dull, but unfortunately, because this guy is white, more or less, and he's bald, this entire side of his face basically burnt out. If you compare that to the original, it was already burnt out in the original. So nothing you can do about that. But what I didn't want to do was lose the detail of the corner of his mouth and the delicate lines of his lips there. So I made the photograph a bit punchier, but I was careful not to lose the edge of his mouth. So in a bigger version you can actually see all his facial features, and the burnt out bit has just burnt out even a bit more. You've still got the shadow there, which gives us the modelling effect to make it, and here to show us that it's actually round. That's basically how our brains decide that something is round or curved, is because one side of it is darker than the other when there's a light source coming from one side. So we've still got that, and then it's just this strange interaction or lack of interaction between these two guys. This almost divided by this strange barrier. This guy lost in his thoughts on that side. This guy interested by something possibly outside of the window. Maybe me. Maybe he's looking at me and he's interested in me. Who knows? That's the wonder of trying to add ideas to somebody else's arrangement which weren't even there in the first place. That's what we're allowed to do as photographers. And I think you can just about see a reflection there as well, which gets in the way of this guy, but then that kind of makes you realize that it's not just a shop window. There's something going on outside of the invisible pane, which we can't really see here except in the reflections. So why not spend a bit of time wandering around at night, not taking shots of boring old monuments where you're worrying about camera shake and lugging a tripod around. Why not make use of some of these wonderfully lit, extremely expensively designed displays that you find in these amazing chic little Paris boutiques, and see what you can do with them. But don't forget, it's not enough just to take a picture of somebody else's creation. You have to do something of your own with it, whether it's throwing in an angle, trying to make interesting alignments. For example, I came much closer to this guy than this guy, which made him bigger, and it also makes him look like he's looking at me. So you've got to add something to yourself, something of your own as a photographer, otherwise it's just a record shot. So give it a go and let me know what you come up with. So there you go, window shot, Paris at night. Plenty of those to take. Thanks for visiting, and see you on the blog, parissetmefree.blogspot.com. Feel free to leave comments. I'd love to hear from you, and see you in Paris next time. Bye bye now.
Depuis que je suis à Paris, le jour et la nuit, je suis gris. J'ai compris la douceur de vivre. Je suis fou de joie, je suis ivre. Depuis que je suis à Paris.